going on, everybody? Welcome to Two Person Echo Chamber.
Welcome to Two Person Echo Chamber. Welcome, everybody. What's going on?
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Mitch. I'm John. Sorry,
Wow.
I tried to do the joke again where I was repeating after you, but it went just one frame too far.
You know, I was going to say this show's been going on so long, it's just become Mitch and Mitch now.
Yep. Well, last episode we were talking about, the pilot episode that John was on that you and I were not on as Mitch and Mitch.
That's right.
And now we've evened out the score. Now we're all in the same amount of episodes. Hey, I'm John. I can't keep up this charade anymore. I'm John.
So we've finally arrived. We've arrived to the season finale.
Mm-hmm. We did it. We all did it together.
We made it together.
Hand in hand.
It's been a pretty crazy ride. From when we started doing these interviews back in like the beginning of January to here we are midway through May and 10 episodes up. So again, thanks for the ride. Thanks for the listens.
Yeah, appreciate that. You know what, Mitch? It's kind of funny. I was thinking about all the work that we put into this, and it's surprising because when I was looking at it from the perspective of us right now in the finale, rather than us in the beginning, not knowing really what was going to happen. And I was like, oh, we put a lot of work into this. And I was thinking back at it, I was like, well, it never really even crossed my mind that it would be work, even starting with it. I wasn't really ever thinking, oh, this is going to be hard, but we can do a good job with this if we do that. It was just like, let's go and do it. It was, let's go see what it's like, see what we can do with it. And I think I just don't want to take for granted that like, oh, we did a lot of work here to do it. And I'm kind of proud of us.
I am too. We did do a lot of work. It was a lot of, definitely texting back and forth. It was a lot of, man hours of recording, of editing, of cutting, of all that stuff. Even outside of the wonderful time that you and me get to spend like right now, where we just get to basically shoot the shit.
Yep.
So how are you? How was your last week in New York?
Oh, you know what? It's been really nice. It's been really nice. The issue is I have to make new friends because, I miss you guys a lot. And a lot of people that are in New York from before aren't there now. So I'm like, I need to fill my time up. So I'm thinking about things that I want to do to like fill up my time, my social life. It sounds like it's, I like meeting new people, but I always get so anxious about it. Like, I took a Rumble class this week and I made a friend of the trainer and of one other person. Mike was his name. And it was nice to like kind of like jump on out there and like say hi to someone, because I haven't said hi to a stranger in so long. I haven't with the intent of like striking up an actual conversation. My whole experience with strangers this past year was nodding or like being like part of me, while being 6 feet away from them. I was like, I'm actually gonna go first time in like a gym or a class in the whole this whole time. And I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just make sure the trainer knows that I had a really great time, and outside after the class I was like, wow, that was hard to this guy. And he was like, yeah, that was hard. And we talked, like, I was like, this is my first class. Great. But it was fun. It was nice. It was nice to be able to, put yourself out there in that way. And I missed it. I missed it a lot. I'm replacing you, Mitch, by the way, is what I'm trying to get at. Me and Mike,
you worked up enough courage.
So close now.
What's the podcast going to be about? Is it just this podcast with Mike, or are you going to veer off
Yeah,
and do your own podcast?
Yeah, it's gonna be the exact same thing. Do you think I have a lot of ideas, Mitch? I don't have a lot of ideas.
Well,
I recycle them.
I'm glad you're able to find another idiot to let you do this with them.
You're irreplaceable. You're irreplaceable.
There we go.
I didn't even get his digits, honestly. I'm embarrassed. I know. What can you do?
Sometimes you just got to take the jump, man. You got to go take the plunge.
And it's especially weird right now to try and, take that jump. I was going to say take that plunge, but I like take the jump better. Plunge, I don't like that word.
Yeah, plunge, it's like almost plunge implies like you're going to get wet. And sometimes that's not desirable.
And I just love that we've tightened up everything about this podcast, and we've just gotten to the core of what makes it really good. And our interviews have really gotten into the psychology of these people. And by the season finale, you can make a joke that I think really fits that whole vibe of what we're doing about the word plunge and getting wet. We're really at the height of our game here.
4 weeks ago, we couldn't pull this one off.
No way.
But here we are.
We'd be tripping on it.
Nailing it. 4 weeks ago, John would have been like this. I think we should start over.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think we did do that 4 months ago a couple of times. A couple of we can't say that.
Well, sometimes we definitely set out to make this podcast like an extension of yours and mine friendship. And we wanted it to be as natural as possible, but at the same time we also had to go, well, other people will listen to it, and we don't want to have no one listen to it.
Yeah. Well, let's have a little love fest though, because we've earned these listeners. Mitch, Absolutely. Like, what did you want to get out of this whole podcast, and like, why did you want to do it with me?
Well, it started with, I feel like I've always wanted to do a podcast for a long time. I feel like it was, I feel like my train of thought has always been, I need to like talk things out to come to a conclusion about something that's just kind of who I am as a person. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like, when you start, you're like, oh, well, do my opinions really validate making a podcast? And so that's where it came to, well, maybe I should get a buddy to do it with me.
I'm your buffer.
A little bit. You're a little bit my buffer, right?
I mean, that.
And I feel understand. Like maybe this works for me through you, but I feel like we're able to articulate each other's points sometimes more elaborately.
I understand that.
Catch up with each other.
So you were mentioning how you really like getting to the conclusion of the idea, like to kind of wrapping your head around a difficult conversation and like concluding, which is nice for our podcast, right? Because we get to decide what the questions are, and we get to decide, all the topics about it, and we don't have to let go of any topic if we don't like want it to, if we don't think it's like been completely resolved. Not that we're like doing a podcast where we're, arguing and, getting people to like admit that they stole jokes like Joe Rogan, and that hack. That hack. Had to bring it back.
You did have to bring it back.
I'm gonna call out everybody that I've called out throughout the season on this episode, so. But it's got to be sprinkled in there.
It definitely has to be sprinkled in. So Joe Rogan was number one. So for the listeners keeping track, if on your 2-person echo chamber bingo card you had Joe Rogan, you can mark it down. You can mark it down.
Don't think I'm coming for your neck, Joe. Come on. Come on.
That,
Come on. But
so
in real life, though, to finish this thought, do you have like a serious issue with when you think something is not resolved between like you and a person, or a conversation or an argument? Do you have a problem with like, oh wow, in this scenario where I don't get to like put someone on my podcast and really talk something out, and it doesn't end in that conclusion that satisfies you? Do you have like an issue with, find like with overcoming that, or is that something that like really like can stick to you?
maybe, I mean, I don't know if it's something that needs to be overcome. It's just something
Mm-hmm.
that will annoy me, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll just be sitting on it for a couple days.
Yeah.
Like, how when you're getting to an argument with somebody, and sometimes like if you're like me, where you're not as confrontational,
Yeah.
and you play out the argument in your head, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that was such a good point I should have made.
Mm.
That's
But
often, I
we're
feel
different
like, my
because I'm
thought
very
process.
confrontational.
You are very confrontational.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is why this is how we work together, is because
Yeah.
I feel like you're able to just get right out there, and I'll just kind of hang out in the back and just be
Well,
like, all
I
right, and bring it full circle.
my hope for next season is a little bit more Mitch and a little less John, honestly.
That's very sweet of you to say. I actually, I think, you're in your head about that. Being the
We've
one that
talked about it
edits
quite a
these,
bit.
being the one that edits the audio aspect of these podcasts, I do enjoy listening to you. I think you're a very thought-provoking man, and
Mm.
I think without you, the interviews would not be getting to the point where we were able to get them. And then, and like, again, you're good at breaking the ice, especially since a lot of these guests were people that you knew.
Yeah.
So it was nice for me to kind of just bide my time to get in there, get comfortable, and then,
Yeah.
be
I
able to pick their
wonder
brain.
I wonder though, because I made a decision for preparing the interviews that I was going to prepare the interview, right? And I wasn't going to tell you too much because I wanted your input on the topic.
Right.
Which I think it worked in a way because I'd loved hearing your surprised, unfiltered, thought-provoking like ideas, because I loved like kind of putting you into the interview with them, right? So that they have someone to bounce off of. But I was wondering how you felt, and truly be honest with me, it was like, am I closing Mitch off to part of the process? Like, does he want to be a part of this part?
Oh, I didn't feel that way at all. I mean, I still kind of came
Okay.
into every interview with, ideas and questions
Yeah.
that I wanted to ask them. So don't feel bad about that.
Okay, good. Good. It was where I was worried for a little bit. And by the end of it, we were just kind of like taking some ideas and looking at their resume, and then within the talk of setting up the recording part of it, I had already kind of figured out where we were going to go, and I think you probably found the way in as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I was it's so shocking because it's actually not, but like the more and more strangers and more people that you get like a good conversation with, the more and more you find that people are just like people, and it's just as easy as like asking a question to find out some like really interesting truths.
I was
Like,
proud of the fact that I felt like every single one of our guests was comfortable.
yeah, we got a lot of those
I felt like a
responses.
lot of them, came in, and maybe some of them were nervous, or some of them admittedly were like, I've never been on a podcast before. I
Yeah,
don't really know what to do. And it's like, just have a conversation.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's some of the best moments of this whole thing.
So yeah, one of our first interview that we recorded, it wasn't the first interview that we brought out. That was Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And what episode was he?
I think Alex was 4.
Alex Levy, 4. Um, yeah, but he was for me because he was. I had no idea what he was like, who he was, and even by then, the first interview, I was stressed. I was really like, well, shoot, this is kind of we're gonna find out what we're made of a little bit here because I
Mm-hmm.
know that I can talk to Mitch and I know that I can talk to other people, but all of a sudden, what if it goes away, you know?
Yes. I
And
would
it didn't.
say I would say I had a similar feeling, especially with with like the Michael Gillises or
Mm,
um the Marlo Holden's
ugh,
uh
isn't
you
she the best?
oh, she was great. But like some of these people that when you just look at their resume and you just look at how impressive they are, it's just kind of hard to be like,
Yeah,
"Hi.
yeah,
Are
absolutely.
you in my like stratosphere of like people to talk to?" And they're just like,
Well,
"Yeah. Yeah, you are."
it's an interesting um thing that the New York actor, the New York playwright, there's so many of them, but they're doing these amazing things that you don't even realize are impressive and amazing until you actually like go in there and see it
Mm-hmm.
because it's this whole different world and like there's
Right.
this whole different like rank and file like level to like what acting is and means over here, and there are these people that you're going to meet here that will never be known by like the public,
Right.
but the amount of work and notoriety within the community and like the amount that they're changing the art form and changing the community, it's almost it's shocking to see people have these amazing careers and people don't really ever find out who they are unless they're actually researching, well, who did this and who did that, and
Mm-hmm.
like I actually I don't believe this to be the case for Aya Aziz because I kind of think she's gonna be like fucking huge um someday very soon, but she's kind of a part of this world already, and you heard her like kind of shout some names out of who's already really brought out the best in her and
Mm-hmm.
who she learned from,
Right.
and they're incredibly successful people. That said, I didn't know any of the names until I researched them, and then I was like, well, who is she talking about? Who is she talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, okay. I kind of some of them I was like, I know your work by your work, and I just didn't recognize the name, or I know your work by the names that are surrounding,
Right.
the work, like what theater you're
Sometimes you
at,
just got
what
to get in the
director.
circle. Sometimes you just got to
Exactly.
figure out like the surface area and you go, "Hmm,
Mm-hmm. What's underneath it, and
it's
that's kind of
amazing. It's
yeah.
amazing how what connections are built in this
Yeah,
lifestyle."
yeah, especially with her because we were talking a lot on the playwright side, you know.
Mm-hmm. We
Um,
were.
there's so many people that it's just like, oh, you're you've done so much for New York theater, Chicago theater, or just theater in general, or L.A. whatever, but it's not in the way it's not rewarded in the same way that you know those huge names are. It's not seen in the same light, but like if you really are about the community, which I think, by the way, Mitch, I think if we are doing a word count for what I said most during interviews was brave or community.
That you would be right.
Yeah, yeah.
Brave
um
and community.
Brave and community.
Hey, they're important. I mean, community, especially in the year and a half that we just had.
Mhm.
I think that's a big word, and
Yeah.
I think all of it was well spoken and well meaned, and and a lot of the people that we were interviewed, they are a part of a community, and they're very proud of the community that they're a part of.
Yeah. I'm not shocked that those words came up though a lot, if I'm
No, me
being
neither.
truly honest, right? Like the idea that we're talking to a lot of artists, a lot of performance artists, especially. So Brave immediately goes on top of that list of, we're going to talk about, my emotions or my emotional process or the way that I think about things, and trying to hear the ice cream machine out there, guys. I just want you guys to know,
They have ice cream
everyone, we're not
machines in
cutting.
New York City.
Oh yeah.
That's
Did you
amazing.
did you think that they were like regional?
I thought that was like a suburb thing. I thought like once you get into like
Well, I'm in
the heart of a
Brooklyn.
city, it would just be. Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm in Brooklyn,
I guess
but I
that's
was just wanted to
true.
say, I mentioned before in this podcast that we were making mistakes. I believe it was the very first episode that I didn't record the video,
Yep.
and we decided to not redo it. The first episode, and just mentioning that this is the type of work ethic that you can
Can be
expect.
expected.
Yeah. And
So we just lived up to expectations. Is basically what you're saying.
absolutely. I'm saying if you edit that out, then you'll be doing way more work than we told them we'd do.
I remember that moment. It was like we were such in a groove. I think we were like so
Yeah.
getting psyched up to start the release
Yeah.
this. And then all of a sudden it's just
Yeah.
like, you didn't record any of that. And it
was wild, and it was very good.
It was good.
You know what I
too.
mean?
Yeah.
It felt very good. And we were like, I don't want to do it poorly or not as good a second time and have to use that as well, because I think we could kind of turn it on and turn it off a little bit now. Like
too.
the last episode, we were joking about how it was bad, but like in my mind, I was like, well, I kind of know that like here's, it's like hitting your, it's like hitting your spot, and just being like, okay, I know what we can and can't do well. So it's interesting that we feel that way though now, right? Like in the beginning we were like, oh, we can't even redo this because it won't, like, that was good and we don't know if we can like hit it again. And now, it's,
I think I've learned as this has gone on to just kind of go with the flow also. Especially in the part of the week by week commitment and the finding the time to do this, but also just trying to be present when you're doing it, with whatever else is going on in your life, just being like, okay, well, I'm doing this now, so and let's see where it goes. I've enjoyed that aspect of just being like, you know what, this doesn't have to be work. It's not supposed to be work,
Yeah. That said, if we get a couple more people to use the coupon code 2PEC for Smooth My Balls, it will become work because we'll have to do taxes on it. So
probably, yeah, the IRS will come knocking on the door.
I'm so we can't use, this is a season 1 joke only.
Oh no, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Season two, we'll have to have some other crazy promotional opportunity. Hop into our DMs.
Yeah, this isn't like the community paintball episode where they're going to do one every season. We're going to recreate the whole podcasting world each season. So
I went paintballing this last weekend.
Am I wrong, or did we talk about this last episode?
No, I said I was going paintball.
Oh, you were going paintballing. Oh, how was it?
It was extremely hard.
Yeah.
I'm a little out of shape, and I couldn't get my goggles to stop fogging up. So half the time I was just going out there, I couldn't see a damn thing.
Oh no.
And for the first couple games,
did you have to wear a mask?
Not like they gave you like face.
Well, you have the paintball mask, right?
Yeah, but we didn't have to wear like a mask.
Do you wear underneath it?
No.
I get that, because, well, I mean, now the CDC, right?
This was also in a spot of
outdoors and
Illinois where I wouldn't have been surprised if the coronavirus might not have been relevant there for a long time.
sure, I get that. Or refuse to acknowledge relevancy.
Yeah, that's basically what I meant by the first time.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
But
anyways, you were blind out in a paintball. You were in Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Blind as a bat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I was legitimately terrified of getting hit. I couldn't remember what it felt like, and I felt terror for sure.
Oh, God.
But then I kind of just learned to manage.
Mm.
And
did you
then
get hit?
I did get hit a couple of times. I got hit.
How'd it feel?
In my stuff. If it's close, it hurts a lot. But if you get shot from like 30 feet away, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I got shot in the hand. I got shot in the chest. I got shot in the elbow.
So I'm hearing that you had a fantastic time, and that's what we're doing for the bachelor party.
It's definitely an option.
Oh, really? Oh, did you actually have fun?
Okay. I actually did have fun after like the first hour, and it was actually kind of fun. And then
that's great,
especially when you play in a private group and you just know you're just going to be playing your friends. Then you can,
you shot your friends.
Oh yeah, and this was a friend group where I didn't need any inspiration to shoot them in the chest. I could get to that point.
Yeah, some unresolved stuff there, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no. Are we gonna name names? Boy. Are we gonna have Mitch? Second callback. Here we go. Oh my God. Yeah, but we'll have to figure out this bachelor party thing though. But I do want to talk a little bit more. Like, we could just honestly go down the list, or because I don't want to leave anyone out, because we did 9 episodes and it wouldn't be about. So maybe I'll just do a checklist, but I kind of want to talk about just like everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just kind of see like what your initial thought, like what your thoughts were reflecting on it, what my thoughts were. Like the first week was Amorous. I know that for a fact. I know that was the plan. Yeah, Amorous Films with Annie Rosenberg and Matthew Stanham. And I think they were a really good choice to kind of start us off, because they were a lot of fun, right? They're very interesting. And I mean, it's really it's nice to talk to someone who is immediately put at ease because they have their person next to them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, there's no real pressure there because they were there for each other, which their relationship still pisses me off so much. Like, gross. Absolutely gross. Like, working together, being happy at the same time. It's infuriating. I've never liked any of my coworkers.
I found it fascinating because I feel like
I'm sorry.
My fiance is a creative like me, but in a very different arena.
Yeah.
Almost to a point where I feel like that's what makes it work, because we each have like our area that we know everything about. Yeah. And then we can kind of just get into, pick each other's brains about like process or inspiration. Right. But outside of that, it's like, I've done the dating an actor as well route, and it did not go well. I just feel like, and
it went perfectly for me.
Of my ego, because it's probably like, oh, too much ego is in the room here.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But the fact that Matt and Annie, who are both actors, writers, director, like they do everything. They're good. They know how to do everything, and they're able to make it work and be a couple and be a partnership.
it's also because they go about it without ego, right?
Well, yeah, they
No,
learn
they
to
know that.
separate it.
Yeah, that they know that like no one's in charge, but
Mhm.
they both are. Like they learn to respect each other's process. It wasn't about how you're serving me or about how I'm serving you. It's about
Mhm.
serving the project, you know? And like in doing that, they are serving each other,
Mhm.
you know? Um it's really, I don't know how they do it, but they do it. They do it. And I was so happy to be able to have those films sent to us, you know, and to
Yeah.
really kind of do some research on people. That was fun, and that's kind of what I would be very much more interested in getting into, like people sending us highlights, like Martin had a play for us
Mhm.
to see, and
Right.
we did, yeah, right.
Mhm.
Um,
We also
or
got to, we Marlo gave us the
exactly,
Instagram, so we were able to do the Instagram play. Yeah, I
yeah,
also enjoyed the prerequisite stuff for these interviews. That was
absolutely.
especially coming in going, I have no idea who this person is.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know that this is what they do, but
Yeah.
going in going, oh, it was nice to have something to talk about.
Sure,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, like for me, I knew Marlo a little bit. Now I feel like I know her real well. That's
She's a
the other
pal.
thing, is just
She's a
it's just
pal.
like these you sit, like it's the same thing. I was just listening to Mark Maron, who we're not beefing with. I'm in love with him.
We'll never beef
So
with Mark Maron.
he's a living legend. Don't listen to his podcast until you've listened to ours, though.
Yes.
But he was saying, he was talking to Richard Kind, which like also fantastic. But he was saying he couldn't live without these podcasts, because like these interviews, because when are you going to talk to someone for an hour and a half? And right, when are you
Yeah.
going to get to there are people that I don't know, and I don't know if I'll ever talk to again, who I just talked to for an hour and a half, and like really got to know a lot about them.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, all it maybe will amount to is that at that one time, I really got to have a great conversation with them. And I
Mm-hmm.
really got to see like their humor, humanity, passions, and it's so worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I think, it was always so hard to try to keep it in a time limit just for the sake of structure, just because sometimes it's like with these guests, you're just like, I could talk to you for hours and
Hours.
it would feel like no time has gone by.
Yeah.
Um, I enjoy I feel like for next season we should really lean into having ourselves a beverage and really just kind of opening it up. you
Yeah.
know I feel like I
Yeah.
feel like part of us was kind of like, all right, we have to film
I'm
this
already on
interview.
I'm already on that game, man.
Look
What are
at
you
Oh, what are
drinking?
you drinking?
I'm drinking Peak Organic Brewing Company Slim Hazy, a hop hazy low cal IPA. Cause you know me.
Y- y-
Need that
I
low
do know
cal.
you. I know when you left my residence as of now from St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Day, and you
Yeah.
left me all this beer that was like 90 calories.
Oh, the
And at first I
daytimes?
was like, I don't want this.
Right, but the daytimes, right?
Yes, the daytime IPAs.
How
But
are
then
they?
I tried them and then they're pretty good.
Yeah. I'm not just trying to have some like I'm not trying to have some like low cal beers just to do it. I found them.
At least they have a taste, right?
Yeah. I did work. I did my homework.
You know what? We're going to take a quick 30-second pause because I'm thirsty and I'm getting a beer.
There you go. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, here he is. We had a full little like I did. You better not cut it out. There was a little recording, kind of like when the TV like goes like blank because something's gone wrong on live TV and they're like, please hold, like we're having technical
We
difficulties.
apologize for this interruption.
I did that song while you're going to get a beer.
I'll keep it forever, and I'll put it in our archives of all the different
In our sound archives.
In our sound archives.
Do you have them at your disposal right now?
No, I'd have to dig them up a little bit.
So
but I know where they are.
If I asked you to place Elphaba's riff right now, you'd be able to do that?
I could.
And if I asked you to tell me a story about, you could do that?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. We'll expect this. I just gave you a little bit of work. To do. But
you did give me a little bit of work to do.
I love it.
But you know what, though? Seeing your reaction when I did it the first time for, I forgot which episode it was priceless, and I'm willing to do it again for that reaction alone.
I love it. See, here's the issue with me, though, is I do the editing for the video, and I don't have those sound cues. Just like out there, so I have to go find them and make them myself for Fridays, for YouTube Fridays. So I think I gave myself actually more work than you.
You probably did.
I'm stupid.
It'll work. It'll be worth it. It'll have a payoff.
I feel so stupid that I did that, but what can you do? Okay. Anyways, we were talking about Marlo, actually, and the Instagram.
Damascus, it's in Syria. Yeah.
Damascus, it's in Syria, that Instagram play. What a creative idea. Like the whole, that's when I saw her doing that, and we were just coming to the whole, let's do a podcast. What are you drinking, by the way?
I'm drinking a Gumball Head.
Classic.
From Three Floyds.
I love it. Classic. God, Chicago beer, man.
It's pretty good.
It's not as good over here.
This is a technical Gumball Head is technically like Indiana beer, but it's like
but it's Illinois.
Like so it's practically a Chicago beer.
Yeah. People in Indiana say they're from Chicago all the time, so
I mean, yeah.
So if they're allowed to say it, then I'm allowed to take their thing. But yeah, that Instagram play came out right when we were thinking, let's do a podcast. And then it started evolving into the idea of, let's do guests. And she popped into my head right away. Because
I remember that.
I was just like, this is amazing. The work behind it, amazing. The performance, amazing. And just the sheer wherewithal to do any of it and to put it all together. Amazing. And let alone to know that story that we didn't even know yet about the audio and the lights being done in different rooms through Bluetooth, and some of them just being done
on the
fly and by the sound and light people, just kind of like seeing visual cues because the sound went out, the audio went out or whatever. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I thought it was amazing, and it was like, I felt like it was the stars aligning in a sense with her, because it's like you mentioned, right when we had this idea to do this, we, this kind of came up, and you thought of her, our podcast and that performance on Instagram were byproducts of, I need to do something in this crazy time to keep myself fresh and to keep myself going and intrigued and engaged in things that I'm good at. And I
Yep.
think that was so great to see how she was like, yeah, no, it was just she kind of had like this attitude of like, well, failure is not an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I always thought it was so interesting because I didn't know her very well. I met her like twice,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you slip into someone's Instagram DMs, and it's an actually like honest, like I just want to interview you on the
Right.
on a podcast, and he's like, and I was like, she was very open to it. I think I mentioned right away that it was on Zoom, so she's not like, I'm not going like, because we
Right.
met
Yeah.
twice. Very strange. It's very strange to reach out to people in this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I have an issue with it, and I have an issue with asking for what I want in that way, like asking, can you do me a favor,
Right.
um, come be on this show because. But that said, I feel like I have to start thinking that you being on this show is a favor to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
um,
At least
right?
that's what we're at least that's a byproduct of what we're trying to do with this,
Yeah, yeah,
is it's we're interviewing people that we admire and
yeah,
we enjoy, and we would like them to continue to do well and be successful so
yeah,
we can talk to them again.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but then there's people that you kind of know well, like I knew very
Mm-hmm.
well. You know, Alex, you knew very well.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, we both
We
you know
both knew very well.
love us some Jim. Um, or like Michael Gillis, I was not worried about him saying no. I was worried about him never responding because he's not like always on social media, and I didn't have his email and I didn't have his phone number anymore, but he's a person who kind of actually shaped the way that I do theater uh, in a a very interesting way, in a very like I don't even know if I recognized how much he shaped it like right away outside of college. Well, not outside of college, but like um doing things on my own time and kind of discovering what I like and what I don't like about theater, and what I don't like about certain performances, and how I more geared towards the true realism, and towards very specific techniques. I don't think I would have gone to the Esper studio without Michael, because of we weren't talking about the Meissner technique, but we were talking about the Meissner technique the whole
Mm-hmm.
time. He was directing me, and you were saying that you were actually kind of a little star-studded with him,
Oh, absolutely.
and I was like the exact opposite. I was like, oh, look, it's Michael. You know, it's like not a day has passed, and for reference, I think 9 years have passed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah,
It started off as starstruck, and then being how genuine and how heartwarming he is, that quickly washed away into just the full blown. What a delightful person he is.
yeah,
But also just like I feel like if I remember correctly, we had like Michael, we had Eric, and we had Marlo like in a 4-day span. We did those interviews, and I remember just the high coming off of all three of them. I feel like we were like dreading, like, oh, we should never do this again, doing 3 interviews in 4 days or something like that. Like, we have to figure the schedule out. But like all of the interviews were so
yeah,
fun
yeah,
that it was just kind of like, well, I don't feel like tired, but like that was fun. Let's get it going. And Mike was definitely like, oh, what a guy! Like, what an inspiration! Like, what the way he can just, like, he talks about like professional settings and how just walking in and like, yeah, this is just what I do.
yeah, absolutely. And he knows so many performers. I think I mentioned this in a couple different ways in a couple different episodes, where they get so wrapped up in the ethereal part of like the magic of acting, you know to find someone who's so grounded in their technique and grounded in the way that they go about things, and also he's such a good storyteller.
Oh,
I
yes.
loved it. Like he was interviewing us by the end of it. By
He
like truly,
was.
truly, he was the only one who was like, and not to say anything bad about anybody else, but he was the only one who was like, and Mitch, what do you feel about like this, you know? And like it really
Yes.
like legitimately, and I'm just like, he should do a podcast because he'd be very good at it.
He's an extraordinarily interesting person and
Yeah,
just super well, very articulate.
yeah,
That I
yeah.
think I agree. He should do a
It's
podcast.
I kind of thinking about Michael and Eric and Marlo, because that was what, 3 and 4 days. It was
I
something
believe
like that.
so. It was a
Yeah.
lot.
Um, I miss each one of them, like in different ways, and I
Yes.
miss
Mm-hmm.
that little like, because not that the other interviews weren't amazing, but it was kind of like we were all firing on all cylinders for those 4 days of
Mm-hmm.
like prep a new interview, like prep topics, prep like the person, go and do it,
Mm-hmm.
awesome, next day same thing, next day start editing this, and then one more. I miss that whole process, and I think I'm deeply attached, like those people have attached themselves to that like little like, this is what it could be if we keep on going with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the goal could be, of like, we're really kind of moving toward expanding who we're interviewing, expanding the topics, um, getting into people that we don't know as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, Eric and I also, I know him pretty well. We did a show together, and it was like one of those shows where everyone was very, very close. Eric and I specifically were very, very close. We were very, very tight friends. But also, that was, let's say, 6, 7 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could just go about your own life.
Yeah.
And you know, um, and he accomplished so much
Mm-hmm.
so quickly after, because it really was the last time that I saw him before um, he did the Book of Mormon tour, was he was in Chicago auditioning for the first or second round, doing the dance call for the first or second round of this tour, and I was like, great, let's get a drink, like
Mm-hmm.
with and you know, and then the next week or so, I'm like, oh, he did it, he got it, and then he's
Yeah.
off on his, you have to, these things, the thing about especially acting in the theater and doing a lot of things in the theater is that like every different experience, every different show is its own gigantic and at the same time minuscule story in your life. And then all these people come together, and then you let them go,
It's
and then
almost
they
like,
go, and
yeah.
you spread, you like, right.
I mean, to hop off of that, I mean, like that's
Please.
my relationship with like Alex, and that's my relationship with Jim, where those were each of those guys represented very specific pockets of my life.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it's kind of crazy how sometimes performers can like the pockets of your life are, oh, I did that show, and sometimes you don't
Mm,
even know what year it was. You just know, oh yeah, it's when I did that show.
mm-hmm.
I remember I have all of
Yeah.
these emotions and these memories. And fortunately for me, I've been able to, double down on some of my relationships like the Alexes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the Jims.
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, basically the sitting and talking and, being able to translate Alex's interview into like something that we would do at our apartment for 4 hours in the middle of the night, to be able
Mm,
to translate that to a podcast and try to get, because he was just as honest on this podcast as he is
yeah,
with his closest friends. And that was a wonderful, beautiful trait.
yeah. He was, yeah, like I said, he was our first interview, and he
Mm-hmm.
made it so easy for us. He was, just absolutely this, so kind, because I had never met him, and I was, so stressed about it. And um it was back in the time see, they're almost two different like times for
Mhm.
this podcast, and I'm not entirely sure if I want to give up the previous time just yet, and I'll explain that in a second. The previous time being, I really picked, I really zoomed in on like some sort of topic. There
Mhm.
was some mental health stuff that I wanted to talk about. There was some societal stuff that I wanted to talk about, and kind of like figured ways to like pull it into the conversation. And most of them really worked, I honestly have to say. It
Mhm.
was kind of weird because it almost seemed like the interviewees were making it work for me before I even was like, okay, but I want to lead into this. I wanted to talk about mental health with Alex, and he was not like, throwing out his dirty laundry, like, but he was bringing up here and there little like snippets of, you know, positive mental health, you know, ideas. And I was like, okay, well then let's focus in on that. And I don't know how we got actually kind of lucky. And I also think we picked the right type of people, that it was like, well, we want to talk about this stuff, so
Mhm.
let's see if these guests, are down.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
reason, right? Like the way
Mhm.
that you picked, let's say, I keep going back to Marlo, because Marlo, I think, is the one that I know that I reached out to, who I also
Mhm.
knew the least.
Right.
But like, even just seeing her work, I was just like, oh, she gets it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
right? Like Eric, I had one of those like shows with, and those really excellent relationships with, that, I knew him. I knew what he was willing to talk about.
Mhm.
And by the way, him and Michael kind of have this similar experience of performing musicals specifically.
Mhm.
Um, but the audience level for what they're doing, the 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 wild touring that they do,
Mhm.
um,
They're rock
the
stars. They're literal
yeah,
rock stars.
yeah, and the insight that Eric was able to give on like, what do you do, how
What
do
is
you do
like
it?
what's your
Yeah,
day by day process?
yeah,
Like
because he really had it nailed down, and you're just like, oh, okay, so this guy's never gonna like wear down. He's in it for the long haul, because you see, if he can name his process so easily, it just kind of like rolls off his tongue of like, oh, this is what I do, and it's because I want to survive in this business.
Mhm.
Now he wants to do some straight plays.
Mhm.
Wants to do one on Broadway. I fully
Yeah.
believe in him, because
Yeah.
you know
Oh, I
because
remember
of
when you said that at the end of our interview. Like
like,
I just applauded his
yeah,
straightforwardness, and it
yeah.
wasn't even like
And
a
the work ethic is there, man. It's
yeah.
just, and Michael would have to do the same thing, right? Like, we didn't get into it as much, but Michael would have to do the same thing, or else he wouldn't survive too. It's just
Mhm.
very obvious. It was very obvious what type of person it takes to do these
I
very
think
difficult
yeah.
tasks.
I think one of my favorite parts about the Michael interview was that, he talked about how he took a break.
Mm,
And it was a break where he kind of was like, I guess this isn't really my life anymore. And then it's like he came back. And like the persistence of and also just like the verification that yeah, this is a lifelong journey. This isn't just a phase that we'll go
yeah,
through.
yeah,
Like, no, this is always something that's going to be I'm passionate about in my life.
yeah,
Maybe it comes to a head in different ways throughout.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe sometimes it has to take a back seat to other more important matters here and there, but this is who I am.
yeah, yeah.
And I got that, and like you said, I got that sense with Eric too. Like,
It's so funny, because Michael is kind of talking about it in a different way, of this, like, you know I don't- I really was moved by when he mentioned that, you know, his sister and his family, you know, they're making stories, and he becomes a storyteller because he's traveling, and he's thinking about starting to like have a family to like make some stories too, is what it seems like. I don't want to put words in his mouth, by the way.
Mhm.
But like he wants to build this community that, you know, is maybe more grounded than the touring life, which touring is just, it's so ever moving, it seems like, and everything is shifting and changing. But he has his eyes on the ball, kind of like what Martin was talking about. You know, Martin was really talking about like wanting to serve his community, you know, in the Swan
Mhm.
realm, and in the LGBTQ plus IA realm, um, in the acting realm.
Mhm.
And it kind of sounds like two different things, you know, but it's all wanting the same thing. Because Martin's all about like serving the people who are near and dear to him.
Mhm.
He really lives that life, you know.
Oh,
Um,
he walks the walk like he talks the talk for sure.
ooh, and it's interesting, you know. We're dealing with some, well, not we, but us as humanity in, you know, Palestine and Israel right now. It's a
Mhm.
fucking mess, and it has been interesting to see what people are saying about it, and interesting like the kind of line that they'll ride
Yeah.
because they're afraid of pissing off Israel.
Yep.
Yeah, where, you know, I'm of the opinion that I've been seeing a lot of fucking war crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and
But just to finish my point, like to Martin, he doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah.
never, his, the way that he shares information and promotes his work, uh, the things that he writes about, the things that he performs, uh, the causes that he donates to. I'm assuming the causes that he goes to, the protests that he marches in.
Mhm.
He's about it.
Yeah.
He's he's not lying to you, and because let me tell you, he has some opinions on this, and I am um very much in agreement with him right now. But
Yeah, and it was really, I think it was really awesome that we were able to get a guy with his background and
yeah,
his upbringing and his perspective, especially, you know, I mean, just being able to talk to him about all these different types of issues and stuff that he cares very deeply about, and the fact that he's able to write a heartwarming play around it,
mm-hmm.
you know, around these really tough subjects and these conversations, but able to still get, you know, a love story in there.
Yeah. Well, that's a goal, right, for us
Mm-hmm.
for next time, right? Is I think we did okay for just starting a podcast and reaching out to people,
Mm-hmm.
and some people not responding, and some people saying no,
Sure.
and some people saying yes, right? But I do really want, our next goal is to just be interviewing people of all different art forms, you know,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
right? Of all different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because
It kind of expand our boundaries, right? Like, you know, like we already,
yeah,
I felt like we already succeeded in that in one way this season by getting different perspectives in
I
here,
just think it's
but
by just doing the podcast,
and
you
just
know,
doing the
as
podcast,
well.
right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
But, you know, at the same time, you know, this, it started off as people that we relatively had contact with,
yeah,
just to try to
yeah,
make it easier on ourselves. And, you
yeah.
know, hopefully this gets out and we're able to have the ability to really reach out to people that maybe we wouldn't
Mm.
have access to in any other way.
Well, and then there's like the group interviews, right? Like I knew Matt
Hmm.
from, just living around in New York. I did not know Sean Kelly and Amy O'Neill.
Right.
And doing Last Shop Film Festival, like even that, first of all, it was an awesome surprise that they wanted to, that they reached out to us to do it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Um, but also, it was just awesome that I was expecting. At first, I was like, okay, so we'll just have Matt back on, or Matt and Annie back on, or whatever,
Hmm.
because Annie's also involved with that, it seems.
Right.
Um, I don't know. But to get these two other people, kind of surprised guests almost. It wasn't
Hmm.
surprised. We knew they were coming, but like, there was not a lot of ways to research them in particular.
No, yeah.
Um,
That was kind
but
of, we
there
were just meeting
was
them as we were going there.
right, but there was way to research Last Shop Film Festival because
Hmm.
they didn't self promote within promoting the festival, which
Right.
I guess I respect it. That said, like, look, take it where you can get it, because
Hmm.
Last Shot Film Festival seems to be very successful. A
Hmm.
lot of followers, a lot of people who are interested in what they have to do, and for very good reason. So I'm going to give a little suggestion here: promote yourselves, because you guys got cool ideas, and they're great too.
All of these people are people I would have a beer with,
Mm,
you know,
hmm
at the heart of it, right? Like,
I wouldn't have a beer with Jim Shed,
would you have a glass of rosé?
of course.
That's more of a style. Though, I
Yeah,
mean, hey, I definitely, I think all forms of liquor were involved in my many comings and goings with Jim Shed,
yeah.
and
Oh, he
as
can do whatever. He can
your
do whatever the
comings
hell
and
he
goings
wants.
with Jim Shed, what a
What a
gem of a
dreamboat.
human being!
Yeah,
What a
I love him.
dreamboat! Absolutely.
Love him. I love him so much. I love that he came here and talked. I love that he, was so funny,
Oh, he
as
came
always.
in,
As
was able
always.
to dish it, right?
Yeah.
But I think my favorite part was I learned stuff about him that I felt like I knew everything about Jim.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've known him for almost 10 years now,
Yeah.
and but being able to, the way he was able to talk about how, even at a young age, how he just had a way of seeing things,
Yes.
I thought was
Understanding
so fascinating.
understanding that he needed to look at how it was made from a very young age is very interesting, especially for a director as successful as him. It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
And
You
the way
know.
that he's able to, and he's willing, and this even goes back to Mike Gillis, a guy who also has done every
Mhm.
theater job in the that
Yeah.
exists. Jim's one of
Yeah.
those guys where he's like, yeah, I just do it all so you have the perspective of what everybody needs
Yeah.
to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh, they're all
Who are we
great.
missing? Who are we
I think
missing?
I think we've mentioned every single person.
Excellent.
I'm gonna go through the list. Amros, great
Mm-hmm.
relationship, cool films we got to see. Love doing the research. Boom. Michael Gillis, man of many stories, um, building community, and you were starstruck,
Mm-hmm.
and he's done everything.
Yes.
Marlo Holden, we've talked about her. She's awesome.
She's awesome.
Aya, superstar in the making.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her music though. Actually, though,
Her
what
music's
I
cool.
what I hadn't done was I hadn't really listened to her music. I had listened to her creating music on Instagram. She'd like do some posts of like, "Here's what we're doing," but really getting into that, like, she's so good. She's
Mm-hmm.
so good. Um, and listening to her talk about art actually like is fascinating. Listening to her talk about like playwriting, the process, love it, love it.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of knowing your technique,
Yeah.
her, um, Alex Levy, hilarious, fun, talented. Oh,
Open,
beautiful
on,
hair,
and
open,
oh,
yeah,
that hair is unbelievable.
unreal. Martin Yusuf Sabari,
Mm-hmm.
about the community,
Mm-hmm.
also brilliant playwright. A lot to look forward to there. I'm still excited to see him soon too.
Yes, that's right.
Um,
Yeah, his play is going to be in person in New York.
yeah, yeah. Jim Shed, Rose all day. Doing a true community service of doing and working theater with children as well. That's honestly something that I cannot fathom how he does, but I am so appreciative that he does do it.
Right.
Last Shop Film Festival. Hell of a party, it seems like. I can't wait to go.
Does seem like a really
and
fun.
and what a surprise meeting two new people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthew, Mr. Matthew.
Are
Mr. Matthew and Annie.
The most appearances on Two Person Echo Chamber other than you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Stana.
Yeah. Well, me because of the pilot. Right.
How could I forget?
Of course.
How could I forget?
See, okay, so the another reason why the pilot didn't work was because I was stealing all of Dane Cook's material, and it was just really bad anyways. I should have picked a good comedian.
Except the physicality. You definitely got into the physicality of it.
Yes, I did get into the physicality, but it's a podcast. So, that's one more beef.
Damn.
Do we have any more? Who else do we have?
We had Eric, but we talked about him.
No, beef. Any beef?
Oh, beef?
I'm not beefing with Eric.
We had the crooked knife.
Oh, no, we just don't talk about them.
I feel like we started off hot with the beefs, and then we kind of tailed off because I think we were just more engaged in the conversations.
Yeah. I feel like there's one more beef. Oh, hey, shaky camera movies. Stop what you're doing.
Oh, Cloverfield.
Fucking Cloverfield. You know what? If I want to see a shaky camera, I'll look at my parents' childhood videos of me in middle school doing a song or something.
What song was it?
Well, I sang a lot. I was very talented as that age,
I was basically
my parents, however, were not. You get the same headache though with that shaky camera. Left, right.
Cloverfield. That's right. That was that other just had a really big issue with. I'm looking forward to seeing what else we can learn from each other, about each other this next season. Because I didn't know you had that strong of a reaction to Cloverfield.
Yeah, I do.
I'm pretty sure I knew you didn't like Dane Cook, and I definitely knew you didn't like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But learning things about each other. I learned that you want to put strawberry and bananas on my wedding cake.
Oh, yum. Yes, absolutely.
And I don't know how else to tell you that that's not happening.
Okay. I learned that you're going to pick your wife over me.
Yeah. There was a moment of doubt where I think she was really thinking about it. She's like, wait, you're doing a podcast with this guy now too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a good fight. Tell her it was a fair fight, and I'm proud of her. So, I love her very much though, by the way, and I am very excited to become family with your family, your soon to be expanding family. I very much hope.
That is very nice to hear, because I'm very excited for that too. It's very important to me that you guys were able to get along, and not that I had any doubts, but it's always nice when it happens.
Yeah, for sure. I so this whole year, what a year, man. What a year.
But hey, we got this out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
got a lot out of it.
We're going to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Before the second season, we're going to try to line up some interviews. We're both, I'm back at work, and John's back in New York, and we're getting back into the daily grind of life, and we're gonna try to recenter ourselves so we can come back and do this even better the second
Absolutely.
season, and I'm really
Absolutely.
excited about that.
Yeah.
We'll keep you guys posted when we're coming back. Maybe like a couple weeks, not too long. We're gonna miss each other. We're gonna miss you.
Yeah. There's no way that this break lasts too long, to be honest, guys. I love doing this.
Mm-hmm. So I guess with that, I guess we can probably wrap this up, John. What do you think?
Do we have to?
We don't have to, but I feel like at this point
we probably should.
It's just going to be a love fest.
we probably should.
So
all right.
For this last time this season,
yeah.
Hit the subscribe button. Keep listening. Keep downloading.
Listening, downloading.
Leave us a comment.
Comment.
Email us. We'll still look at the email even though we're not making content yet, but we'll still look.
Yeah, for sure. And
follow our guests. Go back on our socials and keep check in with all our guests and see what cool stuff they're still doing and how they're opening up, like the world is opening up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Smooth My Balls might not be real, but to anyone who's willing to throw us some cash, we'll give you a commercial. So
we'll do something.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll even rehearse more than we do this.
Wait, what?
We'll rehearse.
No.
All right, guys. I'm Mitch.
I'm John.
And this is Two Person Echo Chamber. Bye.
Bye.